When was the last time you asked yourself a question you did not already have the answer to? Not a trivial one. A real one. A question that made you uncomfortable because you realized you might have been wrong for years. We go through our days convinced we know who we are, what we believe, why we do what we do. But what if the most important thing you could ever know is how much you do not know? That was the question Socrates spent his entire life asking. And it cost him everything. Socrates was born in Athens around 470 BC. He was ugly. He had bulging eyes, a flat nose, and large fleshy lips. He went barefoot, wore the same cloak day and night, and never wrote a single word. Everything we know about him comes from his students, especially Plato, who wrote dialogues featuring Socrates as the central character. But even from those second-hand accounts, one thing is clear: Socrates was strange. Not strange in a charming way. Strange in a way that made people uncomfortable. He spent his days in the Athenian agora, the marketplace, stopping anyone who would talk to him. Politicians, poets, craftsmen. He would ask them one simple question: what do you know? And what he discovered shocked him. The poets could not explain their own poems. The politicians could not define justice. The craftsmen knew their trade, but thought they knew everything else too. Everyone thought they knew things they did not. It started when Socrates' friend Chaerephon went to the oracle at Delphi and asked if anyone was wiser than Socrates. The oracle said no. Socrates did not believe it. So he set out to prove the oracle wrong by finding someone wiser. He questioned the politicians. They failed. He questioned the poets. They failed. He questioned the craftsmen. Even they failed. Everyone he met was ignorant of their own ignorance. Finally, Socrates understood. He was the wisest not because he knew more, but because he alone knew that he knew nothing. This is Socratic ignorance. Not false humility. Not pretending to be dumb. It is the hardest kind of honesty, admitting the limits of your own knowledge. And it is the foundation of all genuine learning. From this insight, he developed his method. The Socratic method, or elenchus, does not aim to win an argument. It aims to expose contradictions in what you believe. You thought you knew what justice was. After 3 questions, you realize you cannot define it. That moment of confusion, that strange space between certainty and doubt, that was the goal. He called himself a gadfly, stinging the drowsy horse of Athens awake, forcing it to think. This led to his most famous claim. At his trial, surrounded by 500 jurors who had just voted to convict him, he said, "The unexamined life is not worth living." In 399 BC, Socrates was put on trial. The charges: impiety and corrupting the youth. A jury of 501 Athenians found him guilty by a margin of just 60 votes. His punishment was death by drinking hemlock. His friends arranged an escape. He refused. To break the law would be to betray the very principle he taught, that a good life requires consistency between what you believe and what you do. So here is the question Socrates leaves us. In a world designed to keep you certain, algorithms that feed you what you already believe, news that confirms your biases, conversations where winning matters more than learning, will you choose to examine your life? Or will you drift through it, never questioning? Modern psychology confirms what Socrates knew 2,400 years ago. The Dunning-Kruger effect shows that the less competent you are, the more you overestimate your ability. People who score in the bottom quartile on tests of logic and grammar routinely rate themselves in the top half. They do not know that they do not know. And research on intellectual humility shows that people who recognize the limits of their knowledge make better decisions, learn faster, and stay more open-minded. The echo chamber you scroll through every day is the opposite of the examined life. Socrates would say, ask yourself one question. What would it take to change your mind? Socrates did not write books, build a system, or leave a doctrine. He left a practice. A way of being in the world. Question everything. Especially yourself. The unexamined life is not a luxury for philosophers. It is the only life worth living. Not because it is easy, it is not. But because anything less is a kind of sleep. So tonight, before you close your eyes, ask yourself one thing: what did I assume today that I never questioned?